plight of creativity sometimes is actually a lack of thought. To assume that we can just continue to put things out into the universe without first thinking about how to do it most effectively. My name's Tarab. I make emotional intelligence videos every day. The topic today is how to make sure that we are channeling our creativity in a way that actually satisfies our life. Genuinely speaking, I tend to be a fragmented personality. I tend to be someone that has a lot of different goals. If you guys are aware of Gary Vee, he is someone that's also been this way in his life, and he has spent a tremendous amount of time, I'm sure, trying to come to terms with what it means to be that type of person and still kind of benefit from that diversity, to actually build a brand, to actually build initiatives that are lucrative, that are beneficial to people and beneficial to the philosophies of humanity. And I think as he's maturing, as his wisdom increases, he is landing on a philosophy that I'm going to talk about today, which is inspired by him and also by my own pursuits in life. Is one that says, listen, you don't have to pick and choose necessarily. And a lot of people will tell you do, and in other videos I have said that you do. But when it really genuinely comes down to you having a variety of different passions, some that are contrasting, I think the biggest step is to assume that these things can actually work together in conjunction. And when we realize that there are methods, there are strategies, there are synergies that exist within these things and try to implement them, I believe it opens life up a little bit. And it makes it so that it's not such a drag necessarily to pick and choose. And the ideal is actually a culmination of things, because that's who we are. We are a culmination of the factors that we have approached in life, a culmination of the philosophies, the acts that we went through. I'm going to check if this is recording, just to make sure. And it is. So I'm a painter. I'm an artist at heart. I am a creative spirit. I produce music. I'm also a dentist, which in itself is surgery essentially all the time, but also creativity, the ability to restore someone's aesthetic appeal, the ability to examine the physics of someone's mouth and to give them prosthetics that will last the test of time. That's a part of engineering, structure, systems. And all of these things, for many, many years, and even now, I've felt that they are disjointed. I've felt that I've had to pick and choose what to do. And that genuinely, I believe, comes from a sense of fear that these things cannot exist in the same space. But I believe that as humanity progresses, we will have to find more and more synthesis. We will have to find more and more intermingling of contrasting forces. Because I think the answer rests in that intermingling. It's not necessarily chaos, but in the almost the sum of the parts is greater. It's greater than the individual things. Meaning that, for instance, have you ever seen a dental practice that sells artwork? Though a lot of dentists might be artists, though a lot of doctors might be artists, though a lot of engineers might be artists, we assume that they need to exist separately from one another, that they cannot be additive, that they somehow cannot exist in the same space, out of fear. And being an immigrant particularly, I have been given a lot of fear in my life, or at least a lot of consolation to say, hey, listen, you might come across a situation where people will look weirdly at you, and that will cause you to potentially lose your career, or that will cause you to potentially lose whatever grounds you. Now, the irony of this is that immigrants often come to America looking for freedom. They often come to the West because they're pulled by the ideologies that you can do anything that you want as long as you have a good strategy, as long as you have a good perception of reality in your hands. And yet when they get here, they have to work so hard to figure out a new system. They have to work so hard to figure out their own psychology and how they feel about how we feel about other people's judgment of us. That oftentimes we will translate the trauma down to our children. And this is not just the case for immigrants, but I'm speaking from personal experience. My mom moved from Pakistan after being in Canada for many, many years because my dad passed away when I was 9. And this process has created, I think, tremendous amounts of stagnation in a system that would otherwise flourish if we just realized that we actually need to put these things together. Because imagine if you go to a dental practice, for instance, it's a stressful experience. But if you hear music and you see artwork, there is a different vibe altogether about the dentistry. The act of going in there is not necessarily just about the individual teeth, but it's actually about who you are as an individual, your perceptions as an individual. Because oftentimes health issues aren't just health issues. Oftentimes health issues have to do with philosophies, have to do with acts that influence more than just our physical health. Oftentimes our mental health, oftentimes our relationships in general. And this is why part of being a doctor, for me, is prevention, a drastic part of it. Because I believe that I'll probably end up making the money that I need to survive in life. I will probably end up making the money that I need to flourish in life. But I will never settle for an extinguishing of my ideals. Because I think my ideals are what make me a good doctor. My ideals are what make me an interesting artist. And I think that each of us needs to realize this about ourselves. And that's the reason I created Terabify, to encourage everyone else, hopefully through my story, but hopefully also these words touch you in a way, that listen, the things that you're into, they don't have to be disjointed, right? There's an efficient integration of them, sure, but to take the chance, to take the risk to integrate these things, that requires genuine courage. And at the end of the day, it might not work out. But what did you lose? Really nothing. And you gained everything. In the process of trying to integrate these things, you have gained insight as to how that works. You've gained insight into your ambitions, your ability to achieve what you want in this life, which there is no greater gift that you could give to yourself, that I could give to myself. So, going back to the original statement, the plight of the creative is to not think. The way that I came to this philosophy is I very dedicatedly sat down and I said to myself, let's write it out. Let's write it out. What are you struggling with? And what do you think the solution is? A passion in my life is deducing this in other people's lives. And hopefully getting better at it to be able to deduce it in my life. And so I wrote these things down and now I'm making a video about it. That's kind of the course of the action. And there will be links in the description below for things that I've written. The philosophies that I talk about in Terabify are based on me essentially going through the logical thought process, oftentimes emotional, but really grounded in reality. The reality that I've seen, the reality that people that I model my life around have used to gain tremendous success, tremendous satisfaction in life, at least from the outside. So I hope you found this interesting. I make videos like this every day, so if you want to drop by, say hello, please do. And I'm on a mission to actually connect deeper with my audience. And this can seem difficult. The void of social media, the void of technology is currently insurmountable by plenty of people in society. But I encourage you to have the courage to reach out, to realize that whoever's on the other side of this camera is actually a human being who values relationships, who values integrating different philosophies and having discussions. So please, if you like this video, smash that like, subscribe, and throw me a comment. What do you think about the synthesis of ideas? And if you have some time, check out this video. It will inspire you further. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care.